Hello, and welcome to this latest episode of my YouTube channel, Kaya Kaynak 97. I am joining you with a slightly less exciting background than usual. Not that my kitchen is too exciting for you, but yes, I am in my hotel in Nuremberg, where I have been here for Arsenal's preseason friendly against FC Nurnberg, which happened last night. I'm going to bring you a bit of reaction to that game, a bit of looking back on the talking points. I don't want to focus too much in this video on transfer stuff because I feel like we've done it to death on the channel over the past few days. And if you want to hear about Yuri and Timber, if you want to hear about Declan Rice, and we're expecting those announcements relatively soon, please go back to as always. I want to start this video with a massive thank you to you. Thank you to everyone who has been involved in the channel so far. We're still very early days, but it's really going well. Let me get these numbers up in front of me. So how many subscribers have we got so far? Because it's going up all the time. I really can't keep track. It's really impressive. 2.69 subscribers. And yeah, I'm so grateful to all of you for all your support so far. Apologies for the sound quality on that live yesterday. I will try and work on that going forward into the next game. So many of you were so nice to let me know in the comment section. And I just wasn't looking for about 7 minutes. So I will try and work on that. But of course, here to talk about all the stuff that happened yesterday. And let's get into it, shall we? Shall we get into talking about the big story from yesterday, which of course was, that's not how I wanted it. Let's do this. There we go. Arsenal versus FC Nurnberg. And of course, Arsenal's goal there was scored by Bukayo Saka on the day. A taken goal, first half finish from him. Classic Bukayo Saka goal, really. He was played in by Ben White over the top, out-muscled the defender, and then fired a low shot in. So it's just a perfect mixture of physicality and finesse from Bukayo Saka. It's what we've become used to. I guess him getting kicked around is something that we're used to as well. And even though it was a friendly, we're a little bit feisty with our Bukayo, who's getting a bit kicked around all over the place. But I think he coped with it well, as he always does. He looked really sharp on his first appearance since coming back from England duty. He's only been training for a few days, but he looked on it. He looked on it from the start, and I'd say he was Arsenal's best attacking threat on the day. His assist, no, not assist, because the ball was played by Ben White, but the man celebrating in the picture with him there, I wish I'd chosen a slightly better picture of him, I'm sure he'd agree, is Fabio Vieira. Now, Fabio Vieira was given his chance yesterday because of an injury to Martin Odegaard, and I'll come on to the injury situation and explain a few more of the absentees yesterday in a bit more detail. But yeah, with Vieira, I wanted to talk about him because I thought he had a decent display yesterday. It was an interesting one. I've touched on him in my talking points on the football.london website, which if you want to go back and read those, they're there. I'll try and put a link to those in the notes in the description of this video. But yeah, definitely one to keep an eye on over these coming days in pre-season. It's been an interesting run for Fabio Vieira, who of course last season missed pre-season due to an injury. He arrived with quite a serious injury, actually. It was a fractured foot, but I think Arsenal didn't want to go too big on the fact that it was quite serious, and it made sure that he missed all of that tour in the US. He only started to get onto the bench as the Premier League games started ramping up for Arsenal. Yeah, it meant that he was starting from behind and never quite got that rhythm going. You know, he played a couple of the Europa League games at the start, looked all right, came in against Brentford, looked pretty good. And then after that, after the World Cup, he really struggled to get back to it. And I guess he'd say maybe he wasn't given the rhythm, maybe he wasn't given the opportunities. But I think the argument against that would have to be that when you're competing against Martin Odegaard and Granit Xhaka as it was last season for starting spots, you got to expect that. And I think he seems to have come back this season with a little bit more, I guess, desire to prove himself. I thought it was interesting yesterday that he was used in the right 8 position rather than the left 8. And left 8, again, something we'll come on to in a bit more detail later on. But it was interesting that he was using that position because I think that's where he's tended to have his best games for Arsenal. If you think back to that Brentford game where he really impressed, obviously scored a fantastic goal from range, his role that day was to replace Martin Odegaard. And games later in the season where he didn't do so well, I think of the Southampton game, the Bournemouth place for Xhaka on both occasions, it was the left 8. And I know you sort of have to take the minutes where they come and they're relatively similar positions, but it's interesting. He looked pretty good in that position for me. I thought he linked up well with Saka and White in that sort of right pod, if you like, a bit similar to how Odegaard's been doing it. It just looked like he was quite happy there, just stitching, not really getting forward too much. But I wonder what we're going to see from Fabio Vieira this pre-season, because he's possibly going to get a chance now. And I'll come on to why that is. And that is because of this collage here. Apologies for my collage making skills. They're not my forte. And I've some face there to block out Takehiro Tomiyasu's face. So I apologise for that, Tommy. There you go. You can see him now. He's one of the injuries, but the main injury I want to talk about first is Martin Odegaard. He was set to start yesterday, was warming up, looking good. And then he picked up a knock in the warm-up, which Mikel Arteta confirmed to us afterwards was a calf knock. I saw him coming out of the tunnel to go and sit with the team on the bench. He was a little bit late to come out on both the first half and the second half. And he did look like he was limping a touch. I wouldn't go full-on staggered limp, but he looked a bit uneasy when he was walking around, a bit sort of John Wayne-like, if you like, in the way he was walking. And it's a little bit of a concern. You'll hope it's nothing too serious. See these minor muscle injuries, especially in pre-season, you won't want to take any risks. And Mikel Arteta said afterwards that the second he felt something, they decided, no, let's not take any risks. He's going to be sort of, I guess, not worth risking in a pre-season game. It's a friendly. It doesn't matter too much if he doesn't play. So I think Arteta played it safe with that. And he was one of several injuries Arsenal had yesterday. Obviously, Takehiro Tomiyasu and Gabriel Martinelli in the top right corner there. They are in the final stages of their development from their injuries. They both had, Martinelli had an ankle injury. Tomiyasu had a knee injury towards the end of last season that both ruled them out for extended periods. And they're just slowly getting back. It was quite a serious injury, actually, for Martinelli, but he's getting back to it. He's training. It was a serious injury for Tomiyasu as well, as we know. Very unfortunately picked that up on the same day as William Saliba. And Saliba was back yesterday. I haven't even got a slide prepared for him, but it was great to see him back. And he looked pretty good, I thought, yesterday after his back injury. He looked like he came through it well. Marquinhos is another who picked up a knock, obviously scored against Watford in the behind closed doors friendly, but he unfortunately picked up a knock and wasn't able to play. Rob Holding, we're told, he had some muscle tightness, but after the game, it then later emerged from David Ornstein that Besiktas had put in a bid for him, I believe to around 2.5 million euros. I've seen some people saying that Arsenal should go for that, and some people saying that Arsenal should accept that. I disagree strongly. I think Arsenal should not be going for something that low for Rob Holding. I think when we bear in mind that he's an experienced Premier League defender, he's got to be 2 years left on his deal. People say it's just 1 year with a +1, but that's what Declan Rice had at West Ham. Or has, still not been confirmed. But he's got essentially 2 years. Rob Holding's essentially got 2 years at Arsenal if Arsenal choose to trigger that, which they may not in order to facilitate the exit, a bit like they did with Granit Xhaka. But, 5 million euros is crazy low money for Rob Holding. If I'm Edu, I think I'd be looking at getting closer to the 10 million pound mark. And I know that people will think maybe that's a little bit high for Holding, but I think he's definitely worth that. I think he's an experienced defender. I think he's certainly someone who can offer a lot to a team like Besiktas playing in Europe. I think he's worth it. I was about to make a turkey joke in relation to the hair, but I won't because I'm going to try and be bigger than that. But yeah, I think Rob Holding's got a lot to offer. I still think he's still got a lot to offer in his career. He's only 27. He can certainly improve size like Besiktas. 2.5 million euros, in my opinion, is a derisory offer. I think it's not. I know it might be an opening offer from the negotiation process, but if I'm Edu, I want a lot more than that. And I do wonder if Rob Holding's absence from the squad, because he was there at the game yesterday. All these guys were at the game yesterday. But I wonder if maybe that came in and Arsenal thought, well, Saliba's looking fit enough. We've got Raw Walters on the bench who can come in and do a good job. And Ben White obviously shifted back to centre-back and did pretty well there. I wonder if maybe they thought, well, let's take the gamble. Let's take the gamble. And Rob Holding didn't play. And you wonder, obviously, the plan is for him to fly out to America on Sunday. But I don't know where Besiktas are in their pre-season. But I guess if he's included in that plane or not will probably be a good indication of what's going on with him. But I expect him to be included in that. And he's never caused any issues. Very good professional. And you'd expect him to be fully dedicated to training throughout. Another player on this picture is Alex Zinchenko. Now, he was there signing autographs, very popular with the German fans. You can see him signing a Zinchenko shirt there, lots of Ukrainian flags as well. Around the ground, the Max Morlock Stadion in Nuremberg. And yeah, his injury is a little bit more concerning. It's a calf injury that continues to linger from last season. And it was a calf injury that kept him out in the early part of last season as well, where he missed nearly a month of football. And I was told that he could be on the pre-season games as Arsenal start to get him back to fitness. He was involved in the training. There's pictures of him training, but I don't know how intense his training was. And the early signs are that he's not fully over his calf injury yet, which is a bit of a worry for Arsenal. But Jakub Kiwior came in at left back and did a pretty good job, I thought. It'd be interesting to he's fit. If he starts playing in that position a bit more, and obviously when Timber comes in, where Timber will play, maybe we'll see Timber use it at the left back and just see if Arsenal can find some options to, pardon me, to replace what Zinchenko brings to the team. Because he's obviously an important part of the squad, a very important player, and it'd be good to have him back as soon as possible. So that's the absentees explained yesterday. And among the players who were playing, one of the new signings, I mentioned Rice and Timber, already in this game, Kai Havertz played. He didn't start the game. We had to wait a little bit longer for his debut, but he came on at half-time. It wasn't the most eventful of debuts. He was relatively quiet, and we spoke to him after the game. He said it himself that it wasn't his best game in football. I think he says he's got more to come. But I think from an Arsenal perspective, there were signs there of exactly what Mikel Arteta wants from him, and it's interesting that he is he's going to be potentially moved. Well, he is moved. That question was answered. That's where he came on. That's where he played, and there were signs of what he can offer. Very small glimpses. He had a big old chat with Nicolas Jovet, the set piece coach, before the game, and he was quite involved in the set pieces. Obviously, Arsenal's one of Arsenal's tallest players now. I think 6'4", alongside William Saliba. And when you stand face to face with him, I mean, I'm 6'6", but he was tall. I noticed that. It's not very often that football players meet my eye line in terms of height. I think Per Mertesacker is the only one who's ever made me look up rather than down, and Kai Havertz was pretty close. So he was impressive. And the one instance I thought where we saw what Havertz is going to offer to this team was when Gabriel Jesus broke through, and there was a chance to Havertz on the left, and he probably should have done, and Havertz would have scored, I assume, his first goal for Arsenal, and chose past it Balogun instead, and Balogun hit the post. It was around the hour mark, and for me, I think Granit Xhaka would have been in a deeper starting position. I don't think he would have been immediately getting beyond Jesus in the way that Havertz was there. And that's a sign, I think, of what Arteta wants from this position. He wants more support for the final line of attack. He wants someone breaking the lines with their runs. And Havertz did a little bit of that. There were a few moments where he got to the byline, got involved. And we saw Xhaka do that a bit, not as much. And Havertz is more adept at that. And just some of the quotes we managed to get from him yesterday that I've got up here. And I asked him sort of what it was that Arteta had said to him to convince him to come to Arsenal. And he said he just spoke of the way he sees football. There's so much strategy behind everything, and this is what impressed me the most. From the outside, I have to say that Arsenal always felt like a family to me, even when I played against them. To feel this energy from the players and the fans was very nice. Fans were really on board with Kai Havertz. I wondered if, I know him being in Germany probably played a part in that, but I wondered if we might see a little bit of a slow build-up, a slow burner in the relationship between Kai Havertz and the Arsenal fans, but no sign of that. I think he's very much already a fan favourite, and big cheers for him when he came on. Big applause when he went out to warm up. I think Arsenal's fans at least are very excited to have him, and the coaches are very excited to have him as well. And interesting, him talking about the midfield position. So we asked him sort of, is that what the plan is? And he said, yeah, I'm quite flexible. I played in lots of positions over the past couple of years. Last year I came more off the number 9, but I'm used to there from a young age. And now it's just time to get the movements back into my brain, and hopefully it'll be good on the pitch. And like he says, I think there were glimpses yesterday of what he needs to do. It's a whole new position. He's learning a new position, and he only joined up with the team over the weekend. So it will take a while for him to get there. But I think early signs, decent from Kai Havertz. A relatively quiet debut, but I think some glimpses of what's to come. Very exciting time for Arsenal, and as they look to change that position. And it's interesting, we also asked Arteta about him, and have I got his quote? So the quote here, Arteta on Kai Havertz, and he said, the talent, the quality and the physicality and the goal threat he has shown over the past few years, when we asked what he's bringing to the team, he said, I think it's true that we have to adapt. We have to see how we adapt him the best. He needs to build some relationships on that pitch, but so far he's adapting really well, and we're really happy to have him. And I guess the theme of all the post-match talk yesterday was Havertz is doing well. There's a little bit more to go. It will take time. He needs to adapt, and that will take time. And so I'd say don't judge too early. Give him a little bit of time just to get up to speed. And I think there's a really good player there. In terms of, is he a direct replacement for Granit Xhaka? The answer was no. He's not a replacement. He's not going to be a light for light, because everyone's going to be very different to what Granit gave us. It's very different. It will be very different. But Kai's for our way of playing. And again, you look at Manchester City, which I think is where Arsenal are trying to get to, and the way they play with their midfield, they have Rodri sitting deep, but they have more offensive midfielders in front. Gundogan's been in front. Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden, Kevin De Bruyne. All those kind of central midfield players. In the past, it's been David Silva. Those kind of guys who have been getting forward obviously defensively minded at times, but primarily focused on being in the attacking five, if you like, splitting the pitch into two. And that's where I think Arteta sees Granit Xhaka, Kai Havertz, I should say, going forward. So that's the plan for him. Another player I got to ask Mikel Arteta about after the game was Flo Balogun. And I've seen mixed yesterday. I thought he was really good. I thought he was Arsenal's most threatening attacker in the second half. I've seen people say that he was rubbish. I disagree. I thought he was good. I know he missed his big chances, but he was there. He was getting on the end of them. He was getting in behind. And bear in mind, he was playing on the wings for the entire game rather than playing up front. So that's different from what he's been used to in an Arsenal shirt. It's different from what he's been used to over the past season, where he's obviously been superb on loan at Stade de Rennes. 22 goals out there in France. And the plan is still for him to develop in pre-season with Arsenal. But Arsenal are open to offers on him. RB Leipzig have been interested, but they just signed another forward whose name escapes me. I think it's Lewis Openda, maybe. There's Premier League interest. There's stories about Chelsea, which I have to say myself I've not been able to substantiate, but also interest from teams in Italy as well in him. So there's plenty of interest in Flo Balogun. And I think if he keeps putting in performances like that, it's only going to add to his value. Arsenal obviously want around £50 million for him, but I think that might take a little bit of convincing to convince anyone to part with that much money for him just now. But like I've said in previous videos, I think that's just a starting price, and Arsenal will be willing to negotiate. But I asked Mikel Arteta about Balogun after the game, and he said, would you like to see Flo Balogun continue his development at Arsenal next season? He said, well, this is what he has been doing, and it's that he deserves to show what he can do. And I pressed him on whether he is expecting to see him or whether he wants to see him in the squad for the coming season. He said, well, he's just staying with us here at the moment, and we will see what happens. His was a lot more convincing than it was more like, but it's not the most committal of answers from Mikel Arteta. And when he's wanted players to stay in the past, he's been very forthright. If you look at how he spoke about William Saliba when that contract stuff was going on, he was very much, he's going to stay. It's similar with Kaya Saka. Similar even if you go back to Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang when those negotiations were going on. When it comes to Balogun, not as forthright, not as willing to say, yes, we definitely want to keep him, which I think is probably a sign, probably that maybe he's open to selling this summer. It's probably one of the biggest signs that we've had going forward. Arteta will, of course, never say, look, we want to sell him, because that would depreciate his value massively. But in terms of how, I guess, lacking in how lukewarm that response was, I think he could be on his way. But for now, he's here. He's ready to contribute in pre-season, and I think he's doing well across pre-season training. And the fact he's getting minutes and getting opportunities suggest that is the case as well. I'm going to race through these because I've got a flight to catch, and I want to get this video out before it. Let's see what is next. Yes, the youngsters, Ethan Nwaneri and Myles Lewis-Skelly, they caught the eye after coming on yesterday. Very exciting duo. Are both 16 years of age, which is very easy to forget. But Ethan Nwaneri obviously has caught the eye. He was Arsenal's Premier League record-breaking youngster last season, came on at the age of 15 for his Premier League debut against Brentford. Not had a first-team opportunity, really, since then. Played in the pre-season friendlies in the World Cup in Dubai, and then against Juventus, and looked pretty good there. Again, sort of has been down with the under-18s and the 23s, or 21, since then, was part of the team that made it to the FA Youth Cup. Very exciting that Arsenal were able to hold on to him. Mikel Arteta and Eddie were both involved in that negotiation process to keep him at the club, which is certainly something that's unusual when it comes to academy players. Normally that's dealt with by Per Mertesacker and the academy team and all those guys, but in this case it was Arteta and Eddie who got involved, and they told him about a pathway to the first team, and he's also committed to professional terms as has been reported, and that's really good news for Arsenal because he's a really good talent, and he showed it again yesterday. There's that one clip of him dancing away from a bit of escape artistry from two defenders of Nuremberg who are tightly pressing him, and I think he did a really good job off the bench. Myles Lewis-Skelly also really impressed at the same time, I think just after the hour mark. And the ball through to Flo Balogun, at the end, where Flo Balogun should have won the game, in fairness. He should have won the match, but didn't. And in that moment, it was Myles Lewis-Skelly who played the ball forward to him, and we saw a little bit of what he's got to offer in a slightly more advanced position. He played against Watford in the behind closed doors friendly as a 6. Yesterday he was playing as an 8 with Jorginho in behind him, and he looked a little bit more comfortable with a bit less defensive responsibility, but I think he did a good job. Obviously, a very exciting, talented youngster. Has played left back in the 21s in the past, in the 18s, sorry, as well. Where Arsenal trying to, I guess, expand his capabilities. It'll be interesting to see what they do with them this season. I think at 16, maybe they're a bit too young to go out on loan. I wonder if a bit more 21s football is wise for them. But physically, they both look really, really ready. They both look like first team players. They're both tall, they're both strong, and they're both technically very, very good as well. So I wonder if maybe we'll see a few more opportunities for them across the pre-season. Obviously, Rice and Timber are hopefully going to come in before the US tour, and I wonder if that will maybe be the two spots that they take. Obviously, Raul Walters was the team yesterday and looked really good as well when he came on. But I wonder what the plan is for the US tour and what the plan is in terms of the squad. I'm flying out to America tomorrow, Saturday, so it's going to be a busy few days for me in terms of flights, but I will be bringing you as much coverage as I can from out there, going to Washington tomorrow. So I'll start to wrap things up because, like I say, I do have a flight to catch. I need to leave in about 15 minutes, so I'll try and get this up for you before that. But yeah, the plan is, for me at least, to go back home, pack, go to America, bring you more content from there and see how we go in terms of the US tour. It's going to be a very exciting time on the channel for the next couple of weeks. So please do keep following, liking, subscribing like you all have been doing so far. I hope you enjoyed this debrief of the Nuremberg game. My plan is to give you a little bit more in-depth coverage. But I liked in terms of the debrief. Did you like the quotes? Did you like the analysis? Would you like a little bit more in terms of news, a little bit more focus on the press conference, a little bit more what Arteta's like in press conferences, that kind of stuff? I'll be happy to listen to your comments and feedback, and hopefully the sound on this video is much better than it was yesterday. Again, thank you so much for joining. Please keep liking, please keep subscribing to these videos. It really helps. Really appreciate all the support you guys have been giving me so far. And as you can see on the bottom, and if you're listening on podcast form, Twitter is at Kaya Kaynak 97, Facebook is at Kaya Kaynak Journalist, Instagram and Threads are both at Kaya Kaynak FL, and of course, you can find all my stuff and all my articles on the football.london website. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back with you tomorrow, hopefully from United States. I'm looking forward to speaking to you all then. Bye, guys. See you soon.